it's your girl Shanika. I am the mental health sister, and I am coming at you with a video for individuals who are seeking counseling for the first time for their children and they don't know what to expect. So here's a few things that you really should do when you are seeking counseling for your child for the first time. Number one, you want to get a counselor who involves you in the process. I understand the client-therapist relationship should be one of mutual sacredness and the client confidentiality. I get all that. What I am specifically saying is that counselors should responsibly keep the families involved. We see clients for a snapshot, 1 day a week, sometimes 2 or 3. But essentially, it's the families that are with them on a regular basis. So personally, I think it's irresponsible not to involve the families, because who's going to see the triggers or the red flags before anybody else? The family. So make sure that you get a counselor who is really open to getting the family involved. And it's not about giving the blow-by-blow details of the counseling session. This is what happened, that was what happened. I mean, as counselors, we give overviews, but essentially, we should be telling the family, okay, this is how you can be helpful in the process without breaking confidentiality. Another thing that you want to look for a counselor who matches your personality style. So everybody has their baseline. Every counselor, I don't care who it is, what training they have, every counselor has their baseline behavior. I am more of a talkative counselor, and talkative, not necessarily I'm talking over the client, but it's more interactive. So for some people that works really well. Other times you get people who have so much inside that they just want to go to a counseling session and just dump all their emotions onto the counselor. The counselor, they really just want somebody that just kind of sits back and nods their head and, how does that make you feel? That sounds tough. How are you managing? You know, that's essentially the response that they're looking for. So if that's what you need, then let the counselor know, because sometimes we don't know what we don't know, and we need you to give us a little more insight. The other thing that I like young people to know when they're looking for a counselor for their child, find a counselor that your child connects with relatively quickly. And what I mean by that, I always give the dating scenario. You know, when you see somebody for the first time and they look really attractive and you're like, ooh, I like them. You know right away, right? It's kind of love at first sight. And that's the same thing with your counselor. With your counselor, you should be so comfortable within that initial session that everything else becomes a non-issue. You should just be so comfortable talking with them. The biggest mistake that people make is getting the first person that the insurance company gives them, and they go for a few sessions and they say, you know what, I don't like counseling, it didn't work, I tried it. Well, you probably tried it, but maybe your counselor wasn't a good fit. So you should try to look for somebody that you connect to right away, and then everything else makes it that much easier. Like I said, we have different therapeutic techniques, different modalities, and the first and foremost is establishing a relationship, establishing rapport with the client. No real work, no matter how fantastic of a counselor you are, no real work can be done unless the client trusts you. So on those times where the client, let's say somebody has trauma history and they're being really on the surface, if they trust the counselor enough, the counselor can challenge the client and say, you know, I feel like we're really staying on the surface right now. Would it be okay if I take us a little deeper? So you want somebody like that the client trusts enough to have the counselor lead them and know that they're not going to leave them hanging without resources to be able to package that back together. Well, I'm trying to think of anything else. Nothing that comes to mind. Please, this is real counseling. I believe that a lot of times communities of color do not seek counseling the way that they should. So my role, my voice, my hope is that by doing these videos, we can get more people in counseling that desperately need the service. I cannot emphasize how important counseling is enough. It works, it truly does, but you gotta initiate this up. There's gotta be some buy-in, and like I said, find a counselor that you resonate with. That's the takeaway from here, folks. Any questions, comments, please feel free to comment below. What was your counseling experience like? Did you have a counselor that you really liked? Did you have a counselor that you really hate? What worked? What didn't work? I always like to know so that I can kind of help people along the way to see maybe if they should give counseling a try again if they've already written it off. Once again, my name is Shanika. I'm the mental health sister. Real counseling from a real perspective. I'll see you on the next video. Subscribe. Oh yeah, do that. do that subscribe thing. I'm getting used to this thing, but subscribe. More videos. Thanks.